Hello and welcome to our first Power Rankings episode exclusive to YouTube. We're going to be talking Power Rankings. Logan makes all of these, so if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you send them to Logan. You can be attention Logan at statesideshow@gmail.com. I do confirm these. I do say, yeah, it looks good, but it's mostly because I don't know anything about Power Rankings. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at this, and I'm going to ask you to defend your options here. And we're going to start with a softball for you. Number one, Seattle Sounders. Why are the Sounders the number one team in the Power Rankings?
So Brian Schmetzer, and I put this out there on Twitter, and I had some pushback a little bit. Early, there's a reason why early's on there. Early Coach of the Year candidate. Brian Schmetzer has done it well for a very long time. Has a team that is historically known as one of the more dominant teams in the West. He does it without Jordan Morris, who's on the ACL tear, who's not going to play this year. He changes his formation instead of that like three up front, those two wingers, or that one up front with the two wings. He has changed it to more of this two forward front. He's got Bruin playing very well. I think that he complements Rui Diaz really well. He's got both Roldans playing extremely well. I thought Alex played really well this last match, and Christian had been pretty solid the previous three. So I think that it's a team that looks extremely goal dangerous. Rui Diaz looks like he might be chasing the Golden Boot. I thought that he's looked fantastic when playing. They have a really nice third option when Bruin can't play or when a Rui Diaz has to come off. You've got Freddie Montero, who has, I think, 2 goals now. I might be lying, but I believe he's got 2. And
sounds correct.
That sounds right? And then you've got arguably one of the best goalkeepers throughout his tenure in Stefan Fry. I think that he's so sound. This team, I really like what this team has to offer. I thought that this Atencio has been really good and a young kid that's played extremely well. And this is all, Jordan, without Nico Ladero, who I have not brought up. A guy that is superb in what he does, creating chances. He's going to be able to create for these two forwards, which is going to be really exciting. Christian Roldan kind of playing in beside him on the midfield. I really like this team. I really like what they do. Their depth seems to be really good when they do bring depth on. You're looking at a team that is easily, in my mind, the number one team in the league.
All right, let's go to number 2. You have the LA Galaxy here. And I would agree with Seattle. So let me just say that. Let me just speak to that real quick. I would agree with Seattle. Number 2, LA Galaxy. Mm-hmm. What is it that jumped out to you that you say, I have to put them number 2? Because last week they weren't in the top at all.
Yeah.
But they were in our first rankings at number 3. So now they've jumped from 3 to like maybe 6 to 2. Mm-hmm. What was it that really stood out to you here?
I think the biggest thing is beating LAFC. That's not a slouch of a team. Yes, they're without Carlos Vela, but I think that their abilities to just grind out wins in that Greg Vanney way is just to win. And a team like this, who's got a Chicharito, who can be a fox in the box, who is going to score, who is going to lead this team with his heart. Right now, I think that they are motivated. I think that Vanney's style is exuding confidence in them. I think that he does a nice job with connection of players. I think that's a huge thing. I think that his abilities connect with Chicharito has been at the forefront. And I think that this team has shored up. They were atrocious last year. Let's just say they're kind of bad this year in defense. I think that Bonds played really well, so that's kind of pushed them up a little bit further. And with a team that's sitting at 9 points, it was hard for me to go away with them because when I put them up against San Jose, I think that they've had the tougher schedule. I think that their win against Miami was really good. So I think that they've definitely had the tougher schedule going Now, going forward, can San Jose continue to do what they do, which we'll get to next. But I think that LA with Zubac in, with Sebastian Lletget playing, I think probably his best soccer that he's played in quite some time. And I think that has a lot to do with honestly, I think it's Berhalter who's put confidence back in Sebastian Lletget, picking him for the national team, picking him for different things, starting him in these international friendlies, and getting a good chance to play and play well has really given this side a boost. I will say that the biggest issue is going to still be that wing spot. Granzier is just he doesn't look like the answer. And I think they still have a DP spot open because they lost the kids. I forget the kid's name. But they've got some wiggle room, and I think that they could add some nice pieces here to make them really good.
I would agree with you with putting them number 2 because, look, they've got 3 out of 4 wins. The only team they've lost against? Number 1, Seattle Sounders. So for me, it's a no-brainer. Let's take a look at number 3. You kind of alluded to it. It is the San Jose Quakes. Something we did not really see going into this season. I don't think when we talked with Jamin at the beginning of the year, we thought they would be fun. We even did the live show with Houston Dynamo versus the Quakes, and we were hoping for some good Quake action, and they didn't really deliver till week 2.
Yeah, so a Houston team that, like you said, a Houston team that was good. It is a good team, I think, a lot better than we thought. A tough West, right? They're playing in a very tough West.
Yeah.
So nobody they play this year is going to be, aside from like a Vancouver, is a team that they're just going to absolutely roll over. And maybe a Loons right now. But they roll through Dallas. I absolutely steamrolled them in a second half that I thought was really, really good. Cade Cowell played really well. They knock out DC completely 4-1, and they looked really impressive. I thought that Showfeast looked really good. I thought that Cade Cowell was setting up Showfeast, and Showfeast was setting up Cade Cowell really well, that 1-2 combination. The passing, the link up between them. This Cade Cowell is an absolute animal. He is built, right? He looks like a fortress when he's running through the box. He's very quick and agile. He can get in the box. He's got a nose for goal. I think that he's got a chance to really challenge in a couple of years some of these nines, like a DK. Heck, you might even consider a forward, 2 forward kind of thing. Who knows what Berhalter could do with the 2 of them later on in their careers, just because of how good they both look. Cade Cowell is strong and athletic. He's agile. And then not to mention you have the super sub, the man, the myth, the legend, Wondolowski, who comes on and puts in 2 against an RSL team that they're no slouches. Like, I mean, to score on David Ochoa is quite the tall task recently. And I thought that, Wando being the experience that he has, and I think that the pieces in around him, Jackson Ewell has played well. Showfeast has looked very, very serviceable in this league. Almeida, I think, has figured out a system that works well for him. And then Marcinkowski, who's been really, really solid. I think he gets snubbed somewhat from the preliminary roster, but
yeah,
I think that he's looked fantastic. There's some things that he needs to improve on, just like Ochoa does. But I think, man, this team really like what they've got. And if they add maybe a couple nice little pieces, some supplemental pieces, Remedi's played really well. Since he's come over, like after that first game, he was a disaster, but since then he's gotten better and he's been a good and that makes you wonder what really happened in Atlanta. So maybe that's the same kind of situation as can Remedi play that well. And this team, again, the firepower has been so fun, and they fixed the defensive issues from last year, I believe. Yeah,
when you look at the schedule that they've played, that's where I think that they could probably fall off of here pretty quick. They faced Dynamo and lost. Then they beat Dallas. They beat DC and they beat RSL, and none of those
the things coming up.
Yeah. None of those are the ones that we've been, kind of looking at when you look at LA and Seattle, the teams they've beat and the teams that they've had to face. Let's move on to number 4, which you have as NYCFC. Top of the East right now is NYCFC. They just drew against your Orlando City. What is it about them that spoke to you so much, and why is the top East team so low in these power rankings?
Yeah. So, and we've alluded to this. My power rankings are not like ESPN, not like MLS, where they, I think, power rank people who they think are, oh, you should be there. Like, there's no way that
Yeah.
Crew should be second right now, and they are in most of people's.
Yeah.
I just don't what is that? That doesn't do anything. I'm ranking them
They're
on
taking
how
into account the whole roster and
Yes.
probably like what
Yep.
schedule they have left and
Yep.
all this kind of stuff. So
We're
what we're
looking at
kind of
form.
doing with this is a form
Yeah.
power rankings. Yeah.
Right, because I think that's what people want. They're like, what am I running up against this week? And if you're running up against NYCFC, you're looking at a team that has
You're
played.
sweating. Yeah.
Yeah, you are, because I think that a team that can do a lot of things. I think that they've proven that they can lock down defensively. Right, they hold a Cincinnati team to 0. They hold Orlando 0 or to 1. Right, they shut down the Union. Who I think the Union are probably the best team right now between those 4 that they've played. I think they and Orlando are very similar in the way that they play, the depth that they have. And Union's a really good team. I think we sleep a lot on Union. If I had to power rank like the MLS guys, I'd have Union pretty high because I'm really high on them. But NYCFC, man, to go into Subaru and beat them there, to come into Orlando and tie with us here, like, those are really, really good results for a team that you and I know, didn't think had much of a chance. We kind of laughed at them. We thought they were the second-rate team of New York City.
Well, you had them above Red Bulls. Yeah,
because
I had
smart.
them. Look, I had them below Cincinnati, which is like, woo, hot take alert right now. Makes me look like a bozo.
Yeah, but
sorry, I bought into the hype.
You did, but we all do. We all do. But
Sean now Johnson, I'm buying into this hype. The NYCFC hype.
The NYCFC hype. Yeah, I buy it. Yeah, Sean Johnson is a consummate pro. He is absolutely phenomenal in the post. He commands that back line very well. James Sands dropping back in that center back spot. Keaton Parks hasn't been superb, so that's kind of like, oh crap, they've got him too. Medina, Hebert's not healthy. You've got, or is that Hebert? Is Hebert on their team?
Chicago, I think.
Chicago. Sorry. I don't know why I thought NYCFC.
Like Herbert's. I think wasn't Herbert.
Herbert's, yeah. So
Bears.
Yeah, check that for me. Fact check me. I might have got that wrong. Sorry, NYCFC fans. But yeah, no, Castellanos is scoring at a good clip, which, again, we've said that earlier in the show this week, that we said that, that's the one concern. Can he keep it up? Because he's never been like the golden boot chaser. He's been more of like the kind of consistent goal scorer, but not anything to write home about. But yeah, really impressed with the way NYCFC's taken care of business the last 3 weeks.
Let's get to our last one here. Number 5, the Revolution.
Can I tell you this? To be honest, I was looking at this 5 spot going, I don't know if anybody really deserves to be here.
I'll tell you who I think actually would deserve it more.
Who do you think?
I think it's the team you're wearing a sweater of right now.
I know.
Because we just talked about this on the main show. To me, the Revs have not been impressive because, look, they beat DC United. They lose to the Nashville. They draw with the Fire, right? And they beat, or did they beat? We just mentioned this too, and I can't even remember. Hold on, let me get that.
The Revs tied Chicago. They beat DC. They lost to Nashville, and they beat. Who am I missing?
So they drew with Chicago 2-2. They beat DC United 1-0. They beat Atlanta 2-1, and they lost to Nashville 2-0. None of those games really speak to me. They couldn't beat a bad Chicago team that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
They beat DC by an own goal.
The Atlanta game wasn't good. Like the Atlanta game was more of a
wasn't super great either. And then they lose to Nashville, and they face Philadelphia on the day that this is going out, Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
They face the Union, and then they have Columbus. Crew, and then they have Red Bulls, and then Cincinnati. Cincinnati, they're probably getting 3 points from, but to me, I see a lot of people still talk about them as this dark horse and that they're really great. And I get it. Bruce Arena is a great manager, and look, this is a long season. They can turn it around, and they can look. They're in second place in the East, so you feel like you have to put them up there at this time. But if I am a team about to face them, I'm like, give me them instead of giving me like NYCFC or even San Jose Quakes at this point.
And the reason why I didn't rank Orlando here was just because we've got
Bias.
one win. That and like we've got one win, and you would have liked to have gotten a point out of the NYCFC game. Like that was a game we should have won. A late penalty that's given up, a mistake by Coutinho. Not Coutinho. Good lord,
Coutinho.
Coutinho comes over and plays for us because he's tired of playing over in Europe. Coutinho, Joao Coutinho makes a mistake in the box. And that's the difference between them sitting 5th or 6th in my power rankings, because I have them 6th roughly. So, but again, this spot was like, okay, who wants it? Who wants the 5 spot? Because nobody's been like, hey, I want that. Because then you got Union, who like, I want to give them it, but then they're like, let me go drop some points there. Let me go get more red cards because that's what we need.
Yeah.
But it's teams that don't just like 3 draws from Orlando. That you want more. Like you've got to get more with 3 games at home. You want more than the points that you've got, and so that's my big concern with them, is that I would like more, because if you beat Atlanta United and you hold on against NYCFC, then we're talking about you being 1 or 2. So again, I think that, but you can always look at that in soccer and say, hey, this should have happened, but seriously should have happened. But again, it's those are my power rankings, and you can email Jordan Weekend if you have any kind of issues with those power rankings. I'm glad he came up with those.
That is spelled Logan. It's all silent. So that's our power rankings show on the YouTube. If this is going out Wednesday, the day of the midweek games. We'll probably try to keep these weekly. I don't think we're going to try to next week we're going to take an effect.
Oh yeah,
the midweek and the weekend games.
Yep.
And this will be every Wednesday. We'll just release this as a video on the YouTube. Also on the YouTube, the Closed Pyramid, which is a Saturday show, usually in the morning before the USL games, where we take a look at the week before in the USL and NISA and all these other leagues, NPSL, any leagues that are going on. And then we will, take a look at those, and then take a look at the ahead of the games that are on that Saturday and Sunday. And it's fun. Go support your local team and hashtag save the crew again. And I am Jordan Weekend. That was Logan Stump with his power rankings, and we will catch you all next time.